I need reassurance that me and my husband need to divorce. I need reassurance that this is the right decision. Me and my husband were engaged for several years, married just a few months ago. We were living together for several years and sharing all financial responsibilities during this time. He is my best friend and I always felt comfortable and happy with him. We are polar opposites in nearly every way. I had a traumatic experience with a weapon nearly a decade ago now, so I hate guns. He is a Marine and loves guns. I never took this away from him, but I did often struggle with him trying to get me to get over my fear of them, so I can protect myself when he's gone on long jobs. Over the years I learned to use them and even bought a pistol to keep on my nightstand to appease him. Eventually that wasn't good enough and he began trying to make me carry it. I tried to carry it unloaded and it felt so horrendous and unnatural I decided it was just not something I was comfortable with, and that I wouldn't be doing that. This caused a major argument, where he became so upset he withdrew any conversation/affection for me for about a week, leaving me distraught. When I tried to talk to him about it, he told me I'd be mad too if the roles were reversed and he wouldn't carry a gun due to some stupid little event that happened years ago. Additionally, he got mad at me when he was gone for a month-long job and all I had managed to do was move us into the new house without him and unpack 3 boxes between catching up on normal household chores. I worked 12-hour shifts and had 6 total days off that month. I was exhausted and told him early not much was going to be accomplished beyond just moving our stuff into the building. He got home and quickly got mad that things aren't more organized. Every time I try to talk to him he finds something to yell at me for, or insinuate I've done badly. He thinks I'm lazy for napping on my days off, and he constantly begs me to leave my well-paying position for something better because he doesn't like me to complain about the stress I'm under at work. When I spent a day making a resume and applying for another position he yelled at me because that was our date night day. I tried to explain I figured we'd spend the evening together so he wouldn't mind, but we fought the whole night until we were too drunk to be mad at each other anymore. I've conceded I could have done that on another day but he still holds it against me. He also gets mad when he sees me leave the house on the Ring camera and I don't tell him where I am going. This was never an expectation in our relationship prior to getting a house with a Ring camera. I offered to tell him from then on but he says I was making him sound creepy. I offered to put Life 360 on my phone but he said that was worse. I know he loves me as much as he's capable of loving anyone, and I do love what we used to be. I still even love him when he is acting like the old him that was considerate and doting. I miss so badly the relationship we had a year ago. I was so happy when he proposed. I know it's not healthy to stay. He doesn't respect or understand me despite living with me for years. When I talk to him he denies everything and says I'm projecting onto him. He says I'm the one who doesn't appreciate him, and I'm too sensitive. He blames his behavior on his mental health and feeling of inadequacy, and I told him I don't think he's inadequate. I said I'd be happy to help him work towards being a more independent provider if he really felt bad about it, but he took that badly too. Can someone please beat me over the head with why I need to leave so I don't try to fix this? I can't be this sad anymore. I can't eat or sleep. I developed a kidney infection from the chronic stress. There is so much more but I'm so dazed and sad it's hard to recall it all. Comment. It sounds like he needs therapy for his mental health and possibly medication. His anger responses are not healthy. You should not be so stressed out in a relationship that you are developing kidney infections. You should not set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You need to take care of yourself first and foremost. Also, you can't fix another person. He needs to fix himself, and he has to be willing to admit first that he has issues he needs to fix and be willing to put the work in. It doesn't sound like he is there yet. If you need permission to leave, I am telling you to leave. You need to make sure you are safe, healthy, and sane before you can work on a relationship. Your home should be your refuge, your safe place to land. Your partner should be working on his individual issues before working on a relationship. You should likely get counseling as well. He's got you trapped, or so he thinks, and now his true colors are showing. It will probably get worse if you were to ever get pregnant/have a baby. He no longer respects you. He probably never did, but hid it well. This is who he is. I wouldn't stay if it were me. Start with therapy for yourself, don't do couples counseling with absurs, to help you sort this out and so you can feel good about whatever decision you make. You deserve a partner who does not yell at you, period. I am prior military, I have a host of issues from this, and I have never once yelled at my beautiful wife even when I have been at my lowest. Why? Because she is a wonderful person and does not deserve to be yelled at because I have my own issues. Anyone who uses their military experience as an excuse needs therapy and medication. It's not his fault he has these issues, but it certainly isn't your responsibility to be his punching bag. Being yelled at and talked down to is enough reason to leave. You deserve better. It really sounds like you are fundamentally different people. The fact that B believes you must be willing to carry a loaded gun with you at all times to defend yourself when you feel uncomfortable doing so is a deal breaker. I understand wanting you to be able to defend yourself, but a gun is not the only way to do that. In fact, keeping a loaded gun on your nightstand is just reckless as hell. Gun nuts love using guns to resolve every possible problem in front of them instead of using them as a last resort. There's a reason we're seeing an escalation in people shooting people for nearly no reason, kids playing in the street, delivery drivers, etc. I don't think it's wrong for people to want to have guns, but they are an extreme solution to any situation, and turns any conflict into one that will likely result in someone dying. You're completely right to divorce him when he is trying to force you to carry a loaded gun at all times, but honestly the fact that you are so hesitant to do so makes you 10x more qualified to carry a gun than most people. Next story 2. My cousin cheated on my close friend, what should I do? I'll call my cousin Lee and my close friend Sarah. Lee's like a brother to me, we've always been really close. He's always been kind of a player. For years he was in an extremely toxic relationship. After that, he started a relationship that didn't last long. When he's not dating seriously, he's casually seeing people. I started to get the feeling he couldn't be without someone. When he met Sarah, however, things were different. They hit it off immediately. They seemed like soulmates and were annoyingly obsessed with each other. I've never seen him so happy and was excited for him. After a year or so of them dating, out of seemingly nowhere, Lee called me for advice. He told me he didn't feel the same, locked down, depressed, numb, and he didn't know where it came from or how to properly explain his feelings, but felt like he didn't love Sarah anymore. I tried to help him sort his thoughts and told him to write things down, seek professional help, and to meet Sarah in person and be transparent. A few hours later I received a call from Sarah. She was crying her lungs out. After she calmed down a bit, she explained that Lee had broken up with her through text and only gave vague reasons. I then contacted Lee immediately so he could set things straight with her. I later found out from Sarah that they met and talked to settle things. For the next 2 months Sarah was depressed. Since I was the only person in her vicinity that knew about the situation, she stayed at my place so she could have company and someone to talk to. I was glad to help her get through it since I had gone through a rough breakup not too long ago. Throughout this time we became close friends. I would give her advice and support her when she needed to be heard, and she in turn helped me get through taking care of my dying dog, by taking care of him while I took my college classes. Needless to say, I advised her not to get back together cause that wasn't going to be good for any of them. After those 2 months Sarah told me they had a talk, where they decided to get back together but take it slow. She confessed they fucked after the talk, so I wasn't sure what take it slow actually meant. I decided to not get involved anymore since both dumbasses went against my advice. Lee had a scheduled trip to another country some days after they talked. When he came back he told me that he hooked up with a girl he met at a bar during his trip. My mind went blank for a moment and I asked whether Sarah and him were back together or not. He answered that they were not back together officially, that they were taking it slow. I assumed that meant they were being flexible and could meet other people. I really didn't want to give it any more thought. A few weeks later Sarah and I met at the beach to catch up, and she lets me know "Okay, everything's going great with Lee." I carefully ask if they're seeing other people. She responds that they aren't, that they're taking it slow but it's exclusive. I didn't say a word cause I really didn't want to get involved. My mind was already exhausted from my own issues. 6 months later, last week, she calls me crying again telling me that Lee's not the same, doesn't give the same effort and is always defensive when she brings up their issues, that he follows a lot of girls on Instagram and likes their bikini pictures, and that he's sneaky with his phone and isn't affectionate. All the red flags you could think of. She specified that he slowly became like this ever since his trip. Then she asked if I knew if he was ever unfaithful to her and I blatantly answered no. I told her that she deserves better, that she's obviously not happy and that she should end the relationship. Before ending the conversation, she told me never speak of this to anyone, and here I am. Comment. Whatever you do, you're going to lose one of them when this all comes out in the wash. You want to lose the friendship with the person that's been like a brother, or do you want to lose the connection with your cousin? Because one of them is going to expect you to stay loyal and cover, one of them will have expected you to say something to them because you're family and it was the right thing to do. ETA, thought I read family. Either way, my stance remains. Both will expect you to be loyal, you will lose one. Which is more, truly, important to you? The one that shits on your friends or the one that's simply been a friend? This reminds me of my brother that is much younger than I am. We'd have words, oh yes we would. I love him too much to let him become that person, even if it costs me our relationship. We might not speak, but he'd think about what I said in the future and that would be worth it to me. This is big, not just a small miscommunication. He's hurting her with absolutely no regard. You're the only one who can decide if it's worth it to confront him. There was a 2-week period in between Lee saying they were not exclusive and Sarah saying they were, and during that time Lee revealed being with someone else. You do not mention after hearing Sarah's version they were exclusive, circling back around to confirm with Lee that was true, so in one sense you were very pointedly honest with your assessment, when asked by Sarah, that Lee had not cheated on the trip. You took the stance of staying out of things once, and you have advised her most recently that she deserves better. Sarah is the only one who can reclaim her self-worth. If she chooses to stay with someone, despite all of these red flags, when she is unhappy more than happy, and when her closest confidant and Lee's relative is telling her she deserves better, then it really is Sarah's problem alone. I think I would reiterate to her that she is unhappy and that it appears on the surface that Lee is displaying very questionable behavior. If you confront Lee and tell him to break up with her, and later that comes to light, or you get involved in any other way, then you run the risk of sounding like you were always standing backstage as a puppeteer, and your friend will feel betrayed not only by Lee, but by you, too.